Okay, here we go, folks. This is another exciting time. This is another exciting day. My hair is not really fixed up too well, but hey, we'll work with it. What are we going to do? Okay, so Dave, the technology expert, I'm always talking about different things. I'm talking about hot topics. I'm talking about technology. I'm talking about AI. I talk about relationships. I talk about art with my art business. I talk about a lot of things, but I got so excited last night when I saw it came across my screens about Apple and all these wonderful announcements. I had to jump on. I had to get involved. I had to be part of the messaging. And a lot of people are experts at Apple and the Macs. So I don't try to be an expert. I just try to use real reality and what's really going on and how to use these platforms and what are they good for and all that other stuff. So thank you, anybody jumping in on this beat tonight or today. It's not really tonight. It's probably, what time is it? Yeah, it's only like coming up on 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. Eastern time. And 6 p.m. In Asia right now, 6 a.m. in Asia. But anyways, this exciting news, this hot news coming out of Apple, and I've been waiting for the news for a while now. I said, where are these new Macs? Where the heck are these new Macs? You know, we've been working with the M4s forever, the M3s forever. We've been working with the M2s, M1s, the studios, and all this other craziness. Where are these new Macs? Well, they're here today, that's for sure. And you can pre-order them right now. By the way, I'm not a spokesperson for Apple. I don't get paid for anything. This is just my opinions on the Mac world. And so this is hot information because it's cool. It's hot. It's great. I happen to be an Apple ecosystem. I have like 15 Apple devices. I'm not an expert on all the Apple apps. I'm not an expert on all the Apple technology, but I have a lot of it. I've turned my Windows 11 ecosystem that was built, and I sold it all off and went to Apple and built an Apple ecosystem. So everything I have is Apple, with the exception of one little device that's getting sold. So the Apple Mac Mini and the Apple Studio, Mac Studio. Two hot announcements that just came out yesterday. And it's good news. It's great news. Anybody that's a content creator, anybody that's an image maker, anybody video and audio editing, anybody that does intense graphics, and then anybody that's considering some type of gaming, this is all good news. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go through 85 different configurations on how you buy these Macs. I'm going to give you some simple samples, and I'm going to talk about what I'm doing. But I'm not going to give you the 8,000 configurations that you could get. Oh, you could get 512K gigabyte memory, and you could get 3 terabytes of drives, and you could get, you know, all this other junk, and you could get this processor M5 or M5 Max or whatever the case may be. I'm going to give you some general stuff. But it's not about just the technology. It's about the applications. And it's about what you can do with the technology. It's really not, you know, yeah, we have powerful processors, but how do we use them? How do we engage with this stuff? What do we buy? What are we going to buy? I've always said Apple needs to give me an Apple Studio fully built that's like $16,000. Give me one of those, and I'll be a sponsor for Apple, and I'll actually help sell the product. But until I get that Apple Studio in my mailbox, that ain't going to happen. So I'm not being sponsored by anybody when I'm talking about Apple equipment. It's just an exciting moment in time for all us technology gurus and all the people out there that love this stuff, that built their backgrounds and built everything on Apple and Macs. So I've been waiting for this because I've been using my Mac Mini M4. The lowest configuration in my Mac Mini M4 configuration, 256 gig on the storage drive SSD. It was 16 gig on the memory. It was the M4 chip. And was I able to do everything I possibly needed? Yes. Yes, I was able to do every possible app and system that I needed on that simple Mac 4, Mac Mini 4, M4 chip. And it worked fantastic, and it's still working fantastic today. But you know what? We crazy technology people and all the people that love, this stuff, we got to move on. We got to move forward. We got to move to the next generation. And so I'm giving you a different perspective on this. I'm not just going to talk about bits and bytes all night. We need to go to the 96 gig in memory. We need to go to 512 in memory. We need to go to, I don't need to do that nonsense. You guys can figure out configurations all day long. But I can tell you one thing, for an average person, whether you're business oriented or you just have a normal life and you don't really care about the business world, you care about what you want to do. My Mac 4 does all my writing and logging and everything else. My Mac 4 does all my graphics stuff and thumbnails and all the other stuff. My Mac 4 M4 chip did all my video and audio editing with all the best software that you can get. Did I have any glitches? Did I have any slow moments? No, I didn't. Did I have 4 external drives, 4 external SSDs connected to my M4? Yes. Did I have like 4.5 terabytes of storage? Yes. Did I use the simple 256 gig storage on the Mac Mini before? Yes. So I never worried about the 256 gig storage in Mac Mini M4s because I had all the storage. And if you have lightning speed connections and you're using Thunderbolt, you can get that fast speed with your other storage devices. So you don't have to worry so much about what Mac is giving you, as long as you can use the processing and get your work done. That's it, getting the work done. Now, if you're a graphics designer, if you're an animator, if you're a filmmaker, and you are using the simple M4 Mac Mini with the simple configuration, you may run into problems because animation and intense graphics and intense other things as far as motion picture goes, designing movies, is a very intense process and it could slow it down. So we're not talking about the 2024 Mac M4 Mac Mini anymore. We're gone. That's over. That history's over. It works. It was great. It's time to move on. It's time to go to the next generation, the M6. It's time. The Mac Minis finally are seeing the M6s. Finally. And that's a good thing, because that processor with 12 cores of processing power plus 12 cores of graphics power is a good thing. And yes, the core system comes with 16 gig of memory. Here's the way I'm configuring mine. The M6 chip, 24 gig memory, 512 on the drive, 512 on the SSD drive. So that means I'll have a half a terabyte on my drive plus 4 terabytes of external drives. That's enough. Like I should never have a need for storage. Can it drive my Final Cut Pro, the next generation, the version 2 that's coming? Yes. Can it do all my graphics and can it do all the video and audio editing? Yes. Can it do all my writing and all my technical skills? Yes. Can it do all my AI engines and run that and do agents? Yes. Can it deploy all kinds of tasks? Yes. Can it connect to a minimum of 3 monitors? Yes. So we got a powerful system in the Mac Mini. The problem is, and it isn't a problem, an issue is that these things are not cheap. I'm not picking on Apple. I'm not picking on the technology. Everything, the cost of everything has gone up. So the base model is going to cost you $899 for the very base model. But you got to beef that thing up. If you're going to go with Mac Mini with an M6 chip now, you got to beef that baby up and go to at least 24 gig on the memory and go to 512 on the drive, minimum. And if you want to be a power user, bump that Mac Mini up to the next chip. So you have a couple possibilities on how you want to configure the Mac Mini. And then we move on to the powerhouse, Mac Studio. And the Mac Studio is finally getting some upgrades. And I just wanted to make sure I'm looking on my screen to make sure I get the chips right. The M5 Mac chip and the M5 Ultra chip. And you've got a bunch of configurations, but more cores, more graphic cores, more power, more memory, more everything. So if you're a power user, I wish I could afford a Mac Studio. It's my configuration would be at least 3,000, and the real configuration is more like 5,000 to 6,000. The way I would configure it, the way you guys might configure it, might cost us 5,000, 6,000. I don't want to spend that for a Mac. The Macs are fantastic. I love them. They're fantastic products. They can do a lot of different things, especially AI. If you're invoking some AI coding and you've got a Mac Studio with a brand new chip, an M5 Max chip, it's going to be lightning speed. So it's a powerful computer. You've got some real power now. But the problem is, the cost involved. You got to do at least $3,000 on that guy to configure it right. And then you really should bump it more and get it to more like 5,000 to 6,000 to configure it truly right for the next 5 years. If you bought that thing right today, it'll last you 5 years. So it's exciting news. It's exciting news about these Macs. The Mac Mini and the Mac Studio, it's fantastic news. It's great. And you go down to the apps. It's really not about the power of the computer right now. It's about how it affects the apps. And I've always said I use my Mac for a lot of different things. And I do a lot of writing, so I'm always writing. But that takes very little horsepower to do writing. Writing and logging and blogging and that kind of stuff, that's just pure writing. That's pure typing. That doesn't take a lot of energy and a lot of computer power to do that. And then if you're doing a lot of emailing and a lot of transition and sending out emails and using tools like MailChimp and other things like that, and you're sending hundreds of mail messages out to the world, that doesn't take a lot of horsepower. It doesn't take a lot. So your Mac Mini or Mac Studio can handle it with a breeze. Now, if you're doing a lot of graphics and you're using Canva or you're using some other kind of products, you might be using CapCut. You might be using AI, different editing generations and editing and video audio editing. And you might invoke some of those tools to do certain things for you, but you're doing a lot of graphics. The cores in graphics is important. So if we have a Mac Mini with an M5 chip and we have our M6 chip, M6 chip, and we have 12 cores of graphics, that could power almost anything. It will certainly power Final Cut Pro. And it'll power the brand new Final Cut Pro coming down the pike. So we shouldn't have a graphics issue. The Mac Studio, the brand new configuration on Mac Studio, will definitely kill the graphics with no problem. It's just that I don't think we need to spend that kind of money to get the job done. Now, if you're live broadcasting, it's going to be faster, quicker, better, but live broadcasting doesn't require, it requires bandwidth. Live broadcasting requires bandwidth, networking speed. So lightning internet speed and broadcasting speed and bandwidth. It doesn't require 10 tons of horsepower in order to power up the live feeds. So your either configuration, Mac Mini or the Mac Studio, is going to do a fantastic job for you. It's going to do a fantastic job. So you don't have to worry about that. It's going to handle it for you. It's going to make all your videos. It's going to help you through that. It's going to take care of the lighting. It's going to take care. So all that crazy stuff is going to happen. Now, what I don't know, because I didn't do the research on it yet, is the AI technology, artificial intelligence that Apple has invoked. How much of an advantage going with the brand new Mac Mini and Mac Studio are we going to get another layer of AI technology built onto the iOS? Because the iOS is going to Golden Gate. When the new products get released, we will be sitting at iOS Golden Gate. Golden Gate should be bringing us a lot more technology. It should bring us a lot more AI capabilities. And so that could be an exciting moment for the turn on Apple and the Mac products. So, yeah, the Mac lineup, it's been intense because the memory chips is so hard to get memory chips. The actual processing chips are so hard to produce right now and get chips. So it's been a rough road for anybody that was sitting in the Mac world wondering what's coming, because all these chips are hard to get. Well, we have it now. If you pre-order right now, like I said before, I don't speak for Apple. I'm not a spokesperson. I love Apple equipment. I'm a technology person. I don't get paid a penny to say any of this. I just love the products. And I give you honest reviews. I don't give you any BS. So what's going to happen with this iOS Golden Gate? You know, is it going to bring us a wealth of great products and technology and capabilities under the roof of an M6 chip? So it could be a very exciting time for everybody out there looking at these products like I am. And so I'm just going down my list because I got to make sure I'm seeing this right. So we got the M6 chip with the Mac Mini, and then we've got the M5 Pro chip. So more configurations. And then we've got a powerful AI performance engine with Mac Studio. And the MacBook Pros and MacBook Airs, they've been holding on their own because those things were upgraded. And so they've been selling at a rapid pace. So, you know, I don't see any major changes coming yet down the pike for those guys. And the Mac Neo, that has gone through a number of iterations. And so there may be some additional configurations coming out for the Mac Neo. I don't try to be one of these technology people on screen that talks purely technology to you, because numbers may not mean a whole hell of a lot. 12 cores, 18 cores, 32 cores, 22 cores, 512 gig of memory, and all of a sudden, maybe those numbers don't mean much to you. I'm all about, can you get any work done? Can I get my workloads done? It's not about the framework of just the Macs. It's about what can they do? Do they have the power to do what I needed to do? And so we've got to look at that. And the OLED panels and OLED screens, where the hell are those? Excuse me, I shouldn't have said hell. Where the heck are those? Okay, so the Mac 4s, as we know, in 2024 came out. I have one of those Mac 4s. That's an incredible machine. I would never give that up, but I am giving it up to get to the next generation. because they have a beautiful trade-in program for anybody that had a Mac 4 that's in mint condition. If you trade it in, you could get your M6 Mac Mini. So that's kind of cool. And the big thing for me right now in this hot evolution and all these wonderful announcements that just came out and all these pre-orders that you get to get done. I know all the folks out there, the hardworking folks like me. Anybody that was on the edge of buying a Mac right now, they're pre-ordering right now, today, they're pre-ordering. So, but here's the question I have that is a mystery to me because I'm missing one piece of my Mac story. I have a lot of Mac devices and Apple devices, but I'm missing one piece of the story. And the one piece I'm missing that I absolutely believe is a powerful machine, if I had it today, I would love it, is the iMac setup. Now, we all know the iMac setup right now is running on an M4 chip. And generations before, M3 chip, M2 chip, M1 chip, whatever the heck it was running. Excuse me, I got to watch my language. Whatever the heck it was running, those were generations of iMacs coming up. And we need the next generation of iMacs being announced. And I think people are talking about, October, November, December, some kind of announcement on the iMacs. And that's the guy I'm looking for. But the problem is it's not coming out with OLED screens. So I don't think we're going to get an OLED screen like Samsung high-tech TV that's got an OLED LED mini screen on it. That's magnificent. The colors and the brilliance are magnificent. I don't think we're getting the OLEDs right away. I think those are coming years down the line, years before we see that in the iMacs. But I'd love to see an M6 chip coming in for the iMacs. And I'd love to see them bump it to 12 cores on the CPU and 12 cores on the GPU at least minimum, and then bump it to 512 on the actual storage. So bump that guy up so it matches a Mac Mini, but you have that beautiful screen and keyboard and mouse control and all this other junk. My point is we need that system. We're missing that piece of the puzzle. We need that system in place, the iMacs. Now, are they going to change the 24.5-inch screen? Or are they going to change? Are we going to go to a 27-inch? Are we going to go to a 32-inch? That's been talked about 100 times. And so I don't have the answer to that. I'm not privy to any Apple announcements outside of you could go to Macworld and listen to what they have to say. But are we getting a bigger screen? I don't think so. I think that current configuration is going to be upgraded, and then that's the one that's going to come out, the iMac. So I'm looking forward to seeing the iMacs. The problem is, I think there's going to be a major bump in the price. If originally, way back when, it was $14.99, you better believe it's going to start at $18.99 or $2,000. So I don't know what the impact's going to be on the pricing. But with that guy, you want to have at least 12 cores and 12 cores and have the 24 gig memory, at least minimum, and then have 512 on the SSD. So 1212, 24, 512. That's the minimum configuration I would go with an iMac. Same kind of principle with a Mac Mini. And if you were a power user on the iMac, I'd bump up the memory to 36 or 48. So you could configure it properly. You could get a powerful machine. You could get something very exciting. I think the color schemes on the actual colors of that thing is going to change a little bit, and some new, great, fantastic colors coming out. So are we looking at Retina screens? Are we looking at OLED? Are we looking at LEDs? What are we looking at as far as the screens go? Can't tell you. Can't tell you what we're actually looking at. But I think there's going to be an upgrade with the iMacs coming soon. Not tomorrow, but soon. So what else are we looking at? I gotta look at my notes here. I always take notes. You guys know I take notes every day. All right, so the M6 iMacs. So that's what is being reported. I'm looking at my notes saying what's being reported is the M6 iMac. And it's got to come with 12 cores of processing, and it's got to come with 12 cores of graphics. It just has to. And I think there'll be a configuration where you can bump that up and get more cores on the graphics side of things if you're a graphics user. And then memory, you've got to bump it to 24 at least, minimum 24 gig. I'd bump it to 36 or 48 if you could afford it. I'd definitely bump the storage. If they come out with some crazy version like 256 gig, I'd bump that to 512 for sure. But I'd bump it to maybe a terabyte if you're a power user and you don't want to play around with external drives all day long. So that's something to think about. And the big hot topic for iMacs is, are they going to come out with this 27-inch, or are they coming out with a 32-inch or 34-inch, whatever the case may be? Is there going to be an opportunity to see a 27, 34, 32-inch iMac? And that's going to be a very serious upgrade, which means it's going to cost a lot of money. I bet you that thing starts at $2,500, $2,499, something like that. I have no knowledge of the pricing, but I'm just saying. And for all the high power users on AI technology, we are turning the corner to have powerhouse Macs to be able to power almost anything we do now with AI. And so is that good? Yes, that's fantastic. That's like unbelievable news. That's like incredible news. We're going to have the power, the engine, the capabilities to run all this AI technology and do it in lightning speed. It's going to be fast. And somebody would say, well, you know, I could compare it to my desktops and I could compare it to my Windows 11. We're not talking Windows 11. I know all about Windows 11. I used it all my life. So I've used Windows when it was Windows 95, when it was Windows 93. So I used Windows all my life. Windows 11 and Windows desktops are powerhouses. You put an RTX 5090 in that guy and you power it with 96 gig of memory, you have an incredible graphics machine that can do anything. But we're not talking about Windows 11. We're talking about Macs and the ecosystem of Apple. And Apple is now moving in the right direction at the right time. We've all been waiting for this. We all wondered what the heck's happening. Why did it take so many years to upgrade these products? Well, here it is. It's here. And that Mac Studio, boy, if you configured it to the farthest level that you could possibly configure that Mac Studio, you have a $15,000 powerhouse. It's like a mini mainframe running. It would be like running a mini mainframe for a major company. If I had a $15,000 Mac Studio right now, it's like having my little mini mainframe running in my, like a mini server running in my studio right now. Could it power any possible configuration I could come up with? Could it power any possible application? Could it power anything? It could power anything. So that's exciting news if you have the capabilities to spend that kind of money. To take it to a level of about a $15,000 machine would be magnificent, would be unbelievable. And if you're a graphics house and you're producing animation, and animation sucks up the energy off of those CPUs and off of the memory, and animation is not easy to create. And if you're using tools like Premiere and you're using other tools that do all the animation and do all the creation and suck up the energy and suck up the CPU power, you'd be able to power that thing in split seconds with that Mac Studio at a $15,000 level. So we are crossing over to a new generation of unbelievable horsepower and processing power and abilities to run multiple tasks behind the scenes. 1 billion tasks can be run behind the scenes on these machines. So you can have multiple tasks running in the same kind of order to get your job done, to get the work done. So if I'm a game designer and I'm designing games, applications of games, this is the machine I was looking for. This is the machine I want. The farthest you could throttle Mac Studio. That's the one you want. That's the one you need. Like I said, I don't get a penny from Apple for saying this stuff. I say it because I love the products. I say it because I love technology. I say it because I'm a software person. I'm an expert in AI. I'm an expert in software. I'm an expert in security. I'm an expert in applications. I say it because the horsepower is going to be so powerful, it's going to be unreal. And people would say, well, Dave, you can't really say horsepower. No, horsepower is like with cars. Okay, it's got 500 horsepower. It's got 600 horsepower. I get it. I'm just using that as an example. We're talking about processing speed and nanoseconds. I know the difference between horsepower and processing speed. I'm just using that as a word, a terminology to explain how fast these things are going to go. So it's exciting news. This is great news. When I saw the news, I was reading everything last night. I'm up at 1 a.m. in the morning researching these machines because it's such exciting news. Finally, we're turning the corner and we're getting some great breaking news out of Apple saying we've got the Mac Mini, we've got the Mac Studio, and they better have that iMac coming anytime soon. Because I think that's the turning point, coming out with the brand new iMac and bringing it a lot of power and a lot of capabilities. And then turning the corner on Golden Gate for their next iOS. And what's that going to bring to us and how much are we going to be able to do? And then the Final Cut Pro being upgraded. I'm waiting for the upgrade. Final Cut Pro being upgraded. And now we really have some power with animation and motion. It's not just about doing video editing and sound control. It's about motion. It's about animation. It's about incorporating all this VFX technology into it. So this is exciting. This is great. This is fantastic. This is what we wanted. This is what the people wanted. This is what I wanted. And thank you guys all for joining in. I've got so many screens running. I have brand new lighting that just came in today, but we don't have it totally configured right. And none of my walls are done because the construction people are coming in tomorrow. So my walls are still torn apart and we have a terrible white background that is not good. I don't like it. It's not good. It's not configured right. So we're under construction. We're still building this out, but I just got my new lighting system that was just installed. So lighting is in. We don't have it all on yet, but it's in. So anyways, that's where we're going in the Mac world. And of course, they talked about, upgrading maybe their iPods, not iPods, iHome products for theaters and stuff like that. So there may be some upgrades coming for theaters and music and Hey Siri, the Siri devices. There may be some upgrades coming down the pike there. And people are extremely knowledgeable about Macs. So I don't try to be a Mac expert. I'm not ever saying that I'm a Mac expert. So what I'm saying is I know Macs, I know what I do with them. And so I'm a technology expert that uses this kind of technology, the Apple ecosystem. And it can be a powerful thing. And let's turn to one more part to the storyline, because this is the part that could jam somebody up big time. the one thing that was beautiful about Windows 11 and Microsoft platform was that the fact that when it came to games, it doesn't matter how complicated or how serious or how much resources it requires to run on Windows 11 and the right configuration, you could power up those games and enjoy every second. Because it was like living in a fantasy world with the best screens in the world and the best graphics, that you were pumping out 200 seconds, 200 minutes, or 200 seconds, yeah, something like that. 200 milliseconds video format was coming to you with unbelievable resolution. Like the speeds were lightning fast. If you had fast internet and you had incredible graphics cards, you could run those video games, and it's like living in the fantasy world in live format. Anybody that knows gaming, which you guys are 10 times better on gaming than I am, with the exception of flight simulators. When it comes to flight simulators, I know how much power you need to fire up those flight simulators. It requires a tremendous machine to run it. If you don't want bottlenecks, if you want a whole bunch of bottlenecks in your world, run flight simulators on a crappy machine and very bad internet, and you'll see how bad that is. But if you have a powerhouse machine and the right graphics cards, and that's where Windows 11 came in. It's a gaming, powerhouse gaming platform. But we crossed the road over to these new Macs, and now it's a different generation. And now we're at a different level in gaming, meaning, can I run every possible high-tech gaming system on my new Mac when I get my new Mac, and can I do it? Yes, I can. Am I going to invoke outside technology? Yes. Am I going to use NVIDIA GeForce Now? Yes. Am I going to use their mainframes, their data centers to run my gaming? Yes. So do I have a problem using an M6 Mac with 12 cores and 12 cores to run that? No. Is there going to be any lag time? Is there going to be any issue with internet speeds? Is there going to be any issues with graphics? Is there going to be? No, because I'm using a high-powered data center. I'm logging into a virtual machine that has the power of anything. So can I control my graphics on a Mac? Yes. Is there a viable solution for running all these high-tech games on a Mac now? No, there's no problem. We have the solution. You're just borrowing some time on a mainframe on servers that have these high-tech graphics cards. And you're just connecting the link. You're using a virtual terminal. So you're just connecting to their mainframes. That's it. So you have all the power in the world you need to run any kind of graphics games. So you don't have to worry about the AI, and you don't have to worry about the Mac not having the power, not having the memory, not having this, not having that. You don't have to worry because you're tapping into a data center. You're tapping into servers. So you just have to have high-speed internet. That's it. The only requirement you need is high-speed internet. Can it run and beautiful graphics? Yes. Can it be magnificent graphics? Yes. Can you run it at ultra levels? Yes. Can you get the speeds that you need to run those games? Yes. Because you're not going to use your engines, you're going to use somebody else's engines. And that's just one solution. There's many solutions you could go to run gaming on a Mac. I prefer using NVIDIA's GeForce Now because it's one of the best I've ever seen. I'm not a sponsor for NVIDIA. I don't get paid from NVIDIA. I'm not a GeForce person that that knows every game that's ever on GeForce, like the 300 games or whatever they have. I'm not an expert at that, but when it comes to flight simulators, I am. And can it power those flight simulators that require so much memory and so much SSD and so much everything else? Will it power those? Yes, on a Mac, it will. So that's exciting news. There's now no limitation that's in front of us now. Before, you might have had some limits on what you could do. You might have said, I can't just get this right. I can't get this animation right. It's taken like 30 minutes to get an animation, one little scene of an animated scene done. It's taken 30 minutes. That day is over. We're over that. If you have 300 megabytes to a 1 gig speed on your internet, the day is over because you have the power of the internet, speed, high-speed internet, and then you have the power of the new Mac M6 chip and the many more cores on the graphics, and now you don't have an issue running it. So your 30 minutes that it took to do an animated scene will now should cut down to like 5 minutes to create that scene. And that's not bad if it's a very complicated scene. Or maybe cut it down to a couple of minutes if you have the right memory set up. That's why I'm recommending you go to at least the base model Mac M6, Mac Mini M6 with 24 gig memory with the 512 SSD. Go to at least that bare minimum configuration. And then if you're going to a studio, you're all set. You have the power of Mac Studio. You'll never have a need for you'll never have a problem with any issues. Like I said, I don't pretend to be a Mac expert. I just know how to use it. I'm a user. That's all. You're getting a user's honest opinion. You're not getting a Mac technology expert that knows every inch of Macs. But I do like the fact that the Mac Mini is coming with 3 Thunderbolts. And so that's cool. And it's coming with other things. It's got better Wi-Fi capabilities, and it's got better Ethernet capabilities because it's going from 1 gig, I believe, in Ethernet to 2.5 gig. So the speeds on the Ethernet on base models are going to be lightning fast, where you could get to like 10 gig or more if you want to upgrade. But why upgrade? 2.5 gig, if that isn't enough speed, I don't know what is. And your internet providers are only going to like one terabyte. No, 1 gig, excuse me. 1 gig at right now anyways, 1 to 2 gig anyways. If you go to the highest speeds on internet, it's 1 to 2 gig speed. And basically they're breaking down the 1 gig down to like 800 megabytes per second. So you really don't need anything beyond that. So the Mac Mini at 2.5 gig speed on an Ethernet is plenty, is fantastic. You're going to have speeds, lightning speeds. I'm seeing like flies or something in my studio, and I'm trying to figure out how they got in. So I'm seeing some weird things happening. Let me see if there's anything in my water. That's scary. So first of all, I want to thank the crowd for hanging in here on another live session. And this was such exciting news to me and such exciting information. And so I wanted to jump on camera right away and start talking about this stuff because this is exciting news. This is like great breaking news that we've all been waiting for. And so I love it. I love this stuff. I live and die for technology. And I shouldn't say it like that. I live and die to make sure my kids are in great shape and doing well. And that's what I live for family first. But if you said on a personal note, I live and die with technology, I would say yes. And then I live and die with my artwork, I would say yes. So I have these passions for different things. And anybody that's a technology person or a PC person or a gamer or anything like that, Xbox user or PlayStation user or whatever, you guys know, you folks know the power that you can make happen with graphics and the lightning speeds and connecting with people and running the gaming and that kind of stuff is fantastic. And so the going to the iMac, I was just looking at my final note about the iMac, and it said the big question or big set of questions out there for the iMac. And I really hope the iMac gets announced. But the real question is going to be, what's the configuration and what's the base cost? I think they used to go for like $14.99. You guys probably know this better than I do. Maybe it went for $12.99. I just don't remember way back when they were first announcing. Thank you guys for joining in. When they were first announcing the iMacs, I never purchased one. I always used other types of computers, but I always loved those damn things. And in the original configurations and the original formats, they might have been $12.99 maybe when they first started, but I think they were $14.99 in the later years. And so the iMac M4 right now is probably, $1,700-$1,800. I don't know. I haven't looked. I should look. Let me look. Let's see let's go on the Apple store and let's go to just an iMac. Let's see, Max. I'm just curious what the base price is for a Mac. Sorry, folks, if I'm turning my head. I'm just trying to look up the product. And Mac always shows you 100 products, so that's always nice. All right. Let's see if I can find the iMac. I'm just trying to get, what was the base price on that iMac? Yeah, it's giving me all the laptops. I don't know why it's doing that, but let me see. Let me see if I can get to it. Let me see if I could go to the buy button and see what the basic, I haven't seen an iMac in a while. So yeah, okay. That's what I thought. The base model for iMac today is $14.99. But you better believe the new ones coming out with an M6 chip or more powerful, you better believe they're going to probably be like $18.99. They're not going to be no $14.99. So that price is probably gone. So a good iMac configuration is probably going to be close to $2,000. A great iMac configuration is probably going to be about $2,500. That's my guess. That's no knowledge I have of pricing. That's just my opinion and guess. So we're waiting for that, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see where the road goes and takes us and all this other stuff. But it's a great day for all the Mac lovers out there that were looking for something to break news on. And so this happened. It's exciting. It's wonderful. It's going to be a powerhouse for all of us. And it's going to do everything you possibly need it to do. There's not going to be a problem with those machines. It's going to be a real powerful system, desktop, or if we ever get the iMacs, the desktops and iMacs coming out will be powerhouses. So that's a good story. Okay, so I don't need to beat this thing up anymore. I don't try to hit you with 8,000 configurations. If you go to 96 gig and you go to this and you put a 4 terabyte SSD drive and you bump up the processor, and instead of getting an M6, go to an M5 Max. And I don't need to do that. You guys can do the research. That part is easy. The part that's important to people like you and me, hardworking people, is what can we get done with these machines? That's the important part to me. Can we get the workloads done, the workflow done? Can we run all our applications? Can we get everything that we need? Can we do our video editing, audio editing? Can we power up everything we need from AI technology? And then if we want to do gaming, can we do gaming? Does these machines have the ability to do all that stuff? They sure do. That's an honest opinion. That's me using the products in real life every day. Running 8,000 spreadsheets with so many mathematical formulas, it can do it in lightning speed. So we have it. It's here. It's arrived. We have it. It's exciting. It's great news. And anybody that's looking to pre-order, go jump online, get your pre-orders in, and get into the queue. And so that's about it. I don't need to ponder on the subject anymore. This will probably be the last time I talk about the Macs, but it was exciting news. And I know there'll be 100 commentators talking about, the M5 or the M6 chip or the M7 chip or the M8 chip or whatever the hell the M chips are, and talking about memory and talking about this. You folks are smart enough. You know what you need. You don't need 8,000 experts telling you the configuration you might need. You know what you're comfortable with, what you can afford, what you want to configure, what you need to get your workloads done, what kind of graphics are you running, what kind of gaming are you running, what is the solutions you're looking for to configure these machines properly, to balance it out, configure it to my needs. Not some, having fun with the product. That's not the point. You could have a lot of fun with these products, but that's not the point. The point is, can I get my work done? Will it execute what I need to execute? I'm running all these powerful apps, very powerful apps, very serious apps. And can it get it done? Can it get the job done? And we don't have to ask that question any longer. It could get it done. Now you just need to know what you want. And that's it. So anyways, for all the Mac lovers out there, I want to thank you. For all the people that joined me today, I want to thank you. For everybody out there that's doing stuff, that are making things happen and making a good life for your kids and family and everything. I want to wish you the very best. And we're bringing this session to a close. And we're going to shut it all down. I'm just starting to close some of my screens.